Tonight on DC News Now, serious crashes in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, where one woman was killed, a car flipped, and a motorcyclist hit a tractor. And a 2-year-old shot, 2 others killed. New information where a group of kids on a midday walk were caught in the crossfire. What do we know about the victims?
It has been a cloudy and gloomy and rainy day here on your Saturday. Will that trend continue into this evening? And what about your Sunday forecast? Got all the details coming up for you in just a few minutes.
The listeria outbreak, where the CDC says they've spotted cases all from deli meat across the U.S. and the handful of cases found here at home. What you need to know. Plus, family fun for less. We're stretching your dollar where low-cost visit to the movies may take you.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Saturday evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6 o'clock. I'm Ben Dennis. We begin tonight in Virginia. Police in Fairfax County say that a woman died after being hit by a car this morning in Great Falls. Officers responded to the scene at the intersection of Leesburg Pike and Downey Drive around 4:50. The driver of the car involved in the crash did stay on scene. And in Maryland, Montgomery County officials say that one person has traumatic injuries after a crash involving a tractor and a motorcycle in Dickerson. We're told the crash happened at the intersection of Old 100 and Thurston Roads around 2 p.m. Old 100 Road, that's closed in the area of that crash right now. Officials are asking drivers to avoid the area. And in D.C., fire officials are investigating a major 3-car crash in Northeast. One car was overturned. Officials responded to the intersection of North Capitol Street and Fort Drive around 3:15 this afternoon. 4 people went to the hospital for their injuries. We'll keep you updated on their condition as we learn more tonight. Well, the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria is investigating several dog deaths, reportedly, they say, linked to a boarding facility. According to the organization, 3 dogs died while staying in PetSmart's boarding facility on Richmond Highway. That's at Potomac Yard. Investigators are unsure how the dogs died. Owners say their dogs got sick and died within a week of staying at that exact same PetSmart. Meantime, PetSmart responding tonight, saying to DC News Now in part, quote, "Based on what we've learned, these 3 incidents are each unique with different causes ranging from underlying conditions to old age, not due to the time in our care." They went on to say, out of an abundance of caution, we are proactively conducting hands-on retraining with our Potomac Yard associates to ensure our best-in-class safety standards are always adhered to. Coming up at 9 and 10, our Dave Laval sitting down with one of the dog's owners who died there. He will join us again later tonight. Our businesses, local governments, and transit providers are still working to get all of their systems back online after yesterday's global tech outage. The biggest continuing impact has been on air travel. Airlines have canceled thousands of flights and now have many of their planes and crews in the wrong locations. Meantime, airports are facing continued problems with checking in and security. The heart of the massive disruption is CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity firm that provides software to companies worldwide, including Microsoft. The company says the problem happened after a faulty update to computers running Microsoft Windows, noting the outage was not a security incident or cyber attack. We're taking a live look at Reagan National tonight as we monitor delays and cancellations. According to FlightAware, 28 flights have been canceled so far tonight at Reagan, 24 of them from Delta. Over half of their flights today have been canceled. 100 total flights have been delayed as well. And the numbers at other local airports, BWI, according to FlightAware, 18 flights have been canceled with just over 110 delays. Dulles, they're faring much better. 2 flights canceled, 2 others delayed tonight. And the CEO of CrowdStrike is apologizing for those problems, writing on the company's blog in part, quote, "We quickly identified the issue and deployed a fix, allowing us to focus diligently on restoring customer systems as our highest priority." All right, a lot to get to, including your forecast, Scott. Yeah, a little bit overcast. It still looks that way as we look across the Potomac River.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks a little gloomy out there. A different looking picture and feeling day than what we saw during the course of the week. 78 degrees, overcast skies. I don't remember seeing a 78-degree temperature at 6:04 in a while. It's usually been 87, those reverse numbers, or even higher than that across the region with all the heat in the area. But needless to say, clouds and showers across across the region from around 3 o'clock onward have kept everybody in check with regards to the temperatures. Now, you do note a little bit further off to the west, there are a couple little showers here, a little heavier. No severe weather expected, at least with these storms at the moment, but we'll watch it here. And looking ahead towards the week, we are not going to see triple-digit heat, I don't think, this week. A big relief and a big thank you for some of you saying, Scott, I don't want to see any more triple-digit heat. Yeah, we'll be warm, upper 90s here, but that's kind of on par with July, so we'll watch that too as we go into the future. But patchy fog overnight, mainly a dry Sunday. Rain and storm chances this week, and no scorching heat this week. Ben?
All right, some good news there, Scott. Thank you. Turning now, we are learning more information about a Southeast D.C. shooting that killed 2 men, hurt 2 others, including a toddler, in the middle of the day at daycare. Police say that Lamont Street and Jermaine Proctor were killed Thursday on Alabama Ave. Investigators say several people got out of a car, started shooting at 3 men. A 2-year-old girl who was walking with her daycare was caught in the crossfire. Families in the area say the daycare is in a shopping center that's known to be a problem.
Calling on other government entities to step in if they care about the young people like they say they do, and to force that daycare to move out of that shopping center.
A third man who was shot and the little girl are both expected to recover. And according to a family member, the toddler shot is a cousin of 3-year-old Taya Settles. Taya was shot and killed in May, just a half mile away from the violent scene on Thursday. Well, in Fairfax County, detectives are searching for suspects who attempted to break into several gun stores. The first one happened on the 4th of July at Dominion Defense in Springfield. The suspects shattered the glass in the store window, but were told they were not able to get inside. Days later, police say people were seen checking out the same business before leaving for another gun store locally. And investigators say those same people, 2 people, then went to sharpshooters in Lorton. They were seen breaking the window but ran off once an alarm went off. Anybody with information is asked to call Springfield Police. And an update tonight on President Biden's health after getting COVID. His doctor says his symptoms are improving, though a cough and hoarseness are still sticking around. The president's physician shared this update today, saying that Mr. Biden has finished a 6th dose of Paxlovid. His pulse, blood pressure, respiratory rate, and temperature remain normal. Same goes for his blood oxygen levels. The letter also says that the president will keep taking Paxlovid as planned and keep performing official duties. And DC News Now is your local election headquarters. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance will campaign in Virginia next week. It comes as the Trump campaign targets the Commonwealth, with President Biden's poll numbers dropping there. A poll by Emerson College and our partners at The Hill found 45% of Virginia voters support Trump, compared to 43% backing President Biden. Vance will speak on Monday in Radford and is expected to criticize the White House over its economic and border policies. Well, a new poll released this week by the Associated Press and NORC found that 70% of voters say that President Joe Biden should drop out of the presidential race. That includes 65% of Democrats pushing for Biden to withdraw from the race and allow the party to select a different nominee. Younger Democrats are more likely to want Biden to withdraw. 3/4 of Democrats under the age of 45 want Biden to drop out, compared to 57% of those over the age of 45. Meantime, nearly half of Democrats are not very or not at all confident that Biden has the mental capability to serve as president, according to that poll. And it comes as Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says many Democrats pushing for President Biden to get out of the race also don't want the vice president, Kamala Harris, on top of the ticket. AOC took to Instagram saying, quote, if you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. Our military families across Virginia are breathing a sigh of relief. Governor Glenn Youngkin just signed a bill to restore a popular college tuition program. Every 2 years, lawmakers are tasked with coming up with a budget, often done to put in place policy changes without much public input. It's what happened to this program. It provides tuition assistance to spouses and children of veterans killed, missing in action, POWs, or left severely disabled.
Should not happen for benefits that people are financially dependent on that disappear overnight. It simply should not happen. We're hopeful that sometime in the next legislative session, maybe we can find a couple of people to help us sponsor a bill that would prohibit that from happening in the future.
And the law restoring the program followed months of public outcry from military families facing uncertain financial futures.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Immortal words. Today marks 55 years since humans first walked on the surface of the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made the iconic leap on July 20th, 1969, a win for the Americans in the space race against the Soviet Union to visit the lunar surface. Aldrin is now 94 years old. He is the last surviving member of the Apollo 11 crew. He'll be headlining a gala at the San Diego Air and Space Museum tonight.